Hello everyone, Elijah here. Welcome you all to another Epic 7 video. Today will be a Lua RTA showcase. We'll be discussing the hero a little bit, discussing something that I thought was a little strange about this hero, um, and the fact
Nothing
that
of
there
value
isn't
to me.
a global ban for the hero or the artifact. So I've been abusing her. And we're gonna go over some of those matches because you kind of just ban out anybody that can speed contest you and just first pick her. And like it's always said, any unit that you can first pick is a broken unit. I don't think she's the most broken unit in the game, but I do, however, think that she excels at what she does, which is shutting down an entire team. As long as you don't get 15%ed, then you will basically secure the match and draft. Um, that's like the only thing you have to worry about. High ER units, right? If you do not have a team that has souls and you can't soul burn, then you do lose out on a lot because there is the chance that uh, a high ER unit like a DJB or even yeah, either one of these units could be built very high ER and they could really shut you down. And I also will show some matches of me going up against Lua and what I drafted and how I dealt with it um, in that sense. But yeah, overall, kind of surprised there's not a global ban on her because there's only like a week left in the RTA season. They literally set, Smilegate has literally set themselves that they would not release a unit at the end of the season that could cause a whole meta shift. And I feel as though Lua has the full-on potential to do this as she is literally in every single game that I have played as of late. Every single one. So yeah, let's get into the RTA matches. Alright, we're starting our first match in the middle of the draft due to the fact that I kind of forgot to hit record. So it happens. But basically, I had first pick, so you pick Lua. That is essentially what this unit is. If you have first pick, pick that unit, right? That is the key to kind of just what I've seen so far. Every single match that I have played so far, RTA has had Lua in it. Whether it's I'm first picking her or the enemy first picking her, it's just every single match. I picked Faithless just because I wanted to be even more ignoring or annoying to deal with, given the fact that turn resetting cooldowns is pretty funny to me. And imagine getting that turn reset while also having your team having to deal with skill nullifiers as well. So I picked DJB just to have an answer to the AOL. In my mind, at this point, or before they picked the Celine, I was thinking in my head, if they don't ban Lua, I can sleep the AOL and then turn reset everybody. That was like what my mindset was. At first, they picked Shu. I thought that was interesting. So I go ahead and pick Cinia. I think Cinia is a really good unit here because she can quite literally control their entire team, especially if that Troublemaker Cosette does not have that too much of ER. There's 2 units that can deal with the Crozet with turn resetting him, at least from drafting stance. There's 2 units that can deal with Crozet. They banned my Taga Hell's book. I picked Spectre purely to have a book on the team, but it's not the end of the world. I go to sleep the Crozet because I feel like that is the best thing to do, since I do not want him to CR push anybody or to cleanse anybody, right? Get resistance, which is pretty typical. I mean, my Lua only has close to 120 effectiveness, so it's pretty reasonable that she gets resisted there. But he does not resist the turn reset, which kind of makes him a little useless. Not gonna lie. Now, at this point, I'm kind of vibing, honestly. I don't necessarily have to worry about anybody getting cleansed because of the fact that Crozet does not have his S3 up, and I could just CR push my Cinia into doing an S3. I should have Soul Burn here. I think Soul Burning would have made more sense, but I didn't. I wasn't really thinking. I don't know what I was saving the souls for, but it's fine. Now here they are essentially focusing down my Lua. And here we are watching Chu just end her own life because she was just gonna get promo provoked by Cinia, right? There's nothing much that Shu can do here in this match. And then we have and even when you're looking at this team, because I picked Cinia here, even if they were to, you know, the A-Ravi did get a turn to revive somebody, they would be reviving somebody that would quite literally just die to Cinia. Troublemaker Crozet, I guess not really, but Celine is going to have a hard time killing a Cinia. As you can see, Ashu is going to definitely have a hard time killing a Cinia. You know, it's just like, it makes it very hard. Now that Chu does have that Azir Comet, so she could turn cycle out of the provoke, but not really. Here I got lucky, because I do think that bringing back Troublemaker would have been somewhat of an issue if that A-Ravi had that chance to do that, but not too much though. Because again, they're still dealing with a Cinia that can fully solo DPS their team, and then I just sleep the A-Ravi and proceeds to go into the Celine. Again, there's nothing really much they can do here. They're being controlled like crazy. And then Shu proceeds to kill herself. And yeah, that's basically over from this point, because I don't think Ravi can solo this. Even if she brought somebody back, you still have to think about who you're bringing back. If you brought back Troublemaker, it won't do you any good. If you brought back Celine, it also really won't do you any good. And Shu will also kind of just eventually lose to the Cinia. So yeah, I really like this. This was a really good draft because it wasn't really aggro per se. I mean, it started off as an aggro draft, but with, I guess, an anchor towards the end instead of the beginning of the draft, like most people. And we wait. We have the defense break off, which is pretty big. Oh, I got another sun. That's another tilter. That's for them, most likely. I go ahead and hit with the S3. A-Ravi's, there's just no chance, right? Especially now that she's defense broken, and then even though she Crimson Seed, she is provoked, so it's kind of just over. I was gonna emote, but they FF before I had the chance to. But yes, just ban out anybody that would speed contest the Lua. That's essentially how I go about all of these drafts, right? Because the only real way to beat her easily is just outspeeding her, right? That's the easiest way to do it. Now, as you see, they're first picking Lua, and I was like, okay, this is my chance to try to test out and figure out how to counter this unit, especially in a slower sense, right? I, again, kind of countered myself banning out the units that would be able to speed contest her. Excuse me. And because I banned those units out, I kind of had to like change everything up. So I decided to tank down. I feel as though tanking down, but taking down with units that aren't necessarily reliant on their skills, is really good. And the reason why I picked Adventure Ross is because I'm under the assumption that they are going to use single target cleave units because they do not have Ran, as they pick Sid, and I'm assuming they're picking another single target unit, right? And that's kind of like why I was like, okay, I pick Adventure Ross here because he's kind of a good way to deal with single target cleavers. Then I pick Moon Bunny Dominiole, I think that's her name, because she is really good. She basically makes it so that you cannot S2 into S3ing or S2ing into S1ing. And Spectre is also really good because one, they cannot hit her, any of them can, and turn resetting a Spectre Tenebria is literally just making it so that they have to making it so that Spectre hits 2 people instead of 1, which is probably something you don't want to have happen, in all honesty. I think Spectre, Moon Bunny, and Dominiole are really good counter pick units into any Lua draft, especially if they're reliant on single target cleaves. And again, I think Moon Bunny Dominiole can also speed contest a Lua very well. I picked Troublemaker Cosette just so I can have another knight for some damage mitigation and things like that. And again, my Troublemaker could be on Holy Sack. He isn't, but he could be, and it could really mess them up, especially given how their draft is. And I just got rid of the Pavel because I did not want anything to hurt my Spectre Tenebria. I wanted her to be perfectly safe. Now, Moon Bunny, she can do her thing, her S2 and her S3, but she's just going to go into the S3. And again, my Moon Bunny has very high ER, so she just isn't going to debuff her at all. And at this point, it's kind of over because there's no way this Sid is going to kill that Moon Bunny, especially with Adventure Ross being there, and then I grant the barrier. And then I just cleanse and CR push everybody up, right? Easy, easy game. Go ahead and pull in my Spectre from the S2, and she ends up hitting 2 people instead of 1, thanks to Lua. And at that point, it's basically over, and I give them a little wink to wish them well. So yeah, it's not like this unit is unplayable against, it's just that I feel like the counters that I've been using to deal with her are Moonlight units, which is not as easy for most people, right? If you have a Covenant unit and the ways to deal with her is a bunch of Moonlight units, it makes things a little hard. So again, I'm doing the exact same draft, into her, to try to deal with Lua, and we see that it will work. If it works 2 times, right, then we know it works. It's the perfect draft. If it works twice, we know it works. Picking Adventure Ross and APOC, right, they have to decide whether or not they're going to go into a single target type of setup or not. They go for a more standard setup, it seems. And I'm just like, okay, I'm like hovering around, but again, doing the same thing. Pick the Moon Bunny to deal with, make it so that she cannot do her extra turn. And then I think I also pick Spectre because again, turn resetting Spectre, I end up hitting 2 units instead of 1. And then the last unit in this draft, I think, that works the best is just some other unit to counter what their last 2 picks are going to be, and in that case is DJB, because another high ER unit that shouldn't get debuffed, doesn't mean that they will, or that they won't, is what I should actually say, but they shouldn't get debuffed, ideally. I think they're thinking about who to ban. I think their best bet was to ban Spectre. in my opinion. I think they should have just dealt with the... Yeah, I think they should have dealt with the 2 Soul Weavers and have the APOC solo. I feel as though they can deal with it solo APOC Ravi. I feel like it was a bad ban on their part. But yeah, they go ahead and go into their setup. DJB resists everything. So I'm feeling pretty happy, right? I feel like this meta that would probably then be invoked by Lua is just high ER units, which is possibly might be the return of Maid Chloe. Maybe. We don't really see Maid much, but I know Maid is a unit that can really stack a bunch of ER as a Soul Weaver to deal with a lot of things. And then her cleanse also be very useful. Now, they actually do manage to turn reset my DJB, but I stunned their strays. And at that point, it's kind of, you know, it sucks for them, I guess, because having their strays be stunned basically makes it so that I win this, right? For the most part. Not guaranteed, but I definitely feel as though if it wasn't for that stun, I would lose. I think I would have lost if it wasn't for that stun. But in an ideal world, my DJB has enough ER to not be turn reset by that Lua. So if you have a better DJB than me, then you could probably get away with that, okay? If I had him on the artifact that gives ER to him and the whole team, I don't think he would have been turn reset there. But it is what it is. And at this point, it's basically over. I get rid of that barrier, and I CR push and cleanse my whole team, and there's really nothing they can do about that. Yeah. And then we're on to our last match where I finally get first pick. Because again, it's either you have first pick or you pick her, or you don't have first pick and then you build your entire draft around countering her. That's essentially how it's been from all these RTA matches that I've been doing. It's just either you first picker or you counter picker. Now, Fallen Cecilia is actually a really good counter to Lua if your entire team has immunity, because she won't be able to get rid of the immunity so that you can't turn reset anybody. Now, I do a little bit of a funky draft because of the fact that I think if you are picking Lua early, you actually could potentially pick Ida early. Because typically speaking, most people, when they're going against Ida, or they see any type of Ida for heavy ice unit team, right, they're going to pick Violet. They're going to pick Violet. They're going to try to deal with your Ida or your a lot of ice units using Violet. In this case, they really can't do that because if Violet gets turn reset, it means he doesn't counter. And it also reduces his evasion so that ice units can actually hit him, which is kind of like one of the things. And then here we just double up with fire units. I was kind of determining what fire unit to use. I was thinking about using Caesarea. The only issue is that I only have one setup for Caesarea. And I didn't want to have to deal with only having one setup for that. Because they could have just banned Ida, and then Caesarea has nobody to set her up. But then again, they kind of have to ban the DJB too. I feel like Caesarea would have been a good pick. It wasn't necessary, but I feel like Caesarea would have been good here, in my opinion. They picked Shu, and because I'm under the mindset that they can't ban Huayang, or they're not going to ban Huayang, I just go ahead and ban Bellion because I need my souls. I need my souls. For my aggro draft, I need my souls. You know what I mean? Like, I have to get rid of that unit. I was kind of surprised that they didn't ban Ida. But then again, I guess DJB would have done a lot of damage to their team, and he would have been able to strip the barrier to allow Lua to turn reset, right? If I really want to do that. Now I miss on the Rimuru, which sucks, but it's one of those things that even on a miss, even with this, right, it's still perfectly fine because I don't miss on the turn reset on the Rimuru, so he's kind of useless for the most part. Rimuru cannot do his S3 for one turn, which makes this draft or makes this fight a lot easier for me. So even if he would have cut in front, he still would have a dead turn, right? And now my Ida does CR push everybody above the Rimuru, but even if that didn't happen, he still couldn't really do much, which is like the nice part about Lua. We go into the Shu because I simply have to kill this Shu because I think she's the one unit that will solo my team if given the opportunity. I have all these souls and I don't know what to do with them. I was like depending on who to soul burning into just to do some extra damage. And I go into the Shu because again, the one unit I think can destroy my entire team is Shu. We get a couple crits off. Their entire team is stunned, so I'm chilling. I'm pretty happy. This should kill 2 of their DPSs, right? Well, not really. Almost. But the Begal procs, and it puts the end to Shu. Goodbye, Shu. And then Rimuru cannot solo this, and the match is basically over at this point. Them staying in is honestly just copium because there's just no way, right? But yeah, that concludes this video. This is just showcasing Lua and just how strong I think she is. Probably a top tier unit. I'm surprised there's not a global ban. Maybe they'll release one in a few days, but yeah, very interesting unit to me to see just really change up the meta potentially in the last week of the RTA season, just like they did the last time. But yeah, that concludes this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace out.